interesting. Mog is trying to corrupt our minds here. I mean, if we weren't already corrupt to begin with, we totally would have been twisted already. But
I think Rob's very innocent.
You think Rob's innocent?
It's a facade.
It's a facade.
Very innocent.
Yeah. Do you make him blush?
I mean, I'm already got a little bit of tan going on from being out and kids everywhere. So you never know.
You can hide it better, right? You can hide it better that way.
The beauty of being Italian.
Yeah.
Dude, it was at 80 degrees here today. What about you?
Me?
Almost.
Yeah, there's Doris. Here you are. Hey, Doris, how are you? Sorry, just responding to the stream as we go here.
All good.
Yeah, no, see, what ruined me, honestly, like I said, Robert Hyman as a kid, but I've also, the dirtiest people I know in the business, honestly, romance writers. There's nothing like a 60-year-old woman that just show me your dick pics now, and just like, that's how they introduce you. It's like, oh my gosh, that turned me into, like, made me go red as a schoolboy.
Oh man, you know what? my mom had a lot of those like mom erotica books. You know,
yeah.
I'm like, really? Wow. I'm like la la la.
Well, yeah. Yep. This is
Why
where
is
we
your mom
started.
telling you this?
So welcome to the show, guys, and we've completely gone down this hole already, and I cannot explain. I have no explanation. I'm just a terrible human being. So, Jag, this is Mog Park. this is Jag Tress. This is Doris. I think you probably both are aware of Doris, but this is welcome to the show, and welcome to So Mog and Rob have successfully launched their comic Snowpaw, and they just launched yesterday, right?
Yeah, yesterday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. And we are currently sitting at we're at 7,954 with 275 backers.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
This is one of the few times, I'm not going to lie, I didn't want a variant cover. I just didn't. I just looked at it. It was like, just take my money.
Yeah,
just take my money. Shut up. Right. I haven't done a Kickstarter. I'm opening some Kickstarter privileges because for me personally as a freelancer, I'm starting to see. I actually guarantee myself 5 figures as a freelancer next year. It's actually kind of cool. Right. Like, it's not bad. It's not bad before the year's out, right? So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I can actually buy cool shit again. So.
That's always the goal, right? Is to have money so you can buy cool shit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm gonna be like, before we get deeper into this, I do want just special little thanks to JD Estrada. I would not have met this cool group of people without you, because without JD, I would not have met Mog, and without Mog, I would not have met half the people I've met in the last half year. So it's just like, all credits due. It's just like, thank you, JD, for opening up to this really, really cool world. So, and, but no, like, Rob, like, you got like a nice little universe you've built from the ground up. I mean, like, I talked about this off the air, and I'll say it, like, you want a cool old school late 1980s, early 90s comic book that's pretty fun to read every time it comes out. Like, hold on a second, I'll just show it. Why does it say it when I can just show it? Right here, ladies and gentlemen, I got the last campaign, so I actually got myself on the single issues, and that's why and that was one of the reasons why. Part of it, I'm not going to lie, was because I knew Mog was working with you, right? But but the other part of it is like, you have a full like concept that you fleshed out, and that's an impressive thing to do on with Twitter, like Twitter's Kickstarter. It's like, that's an impressive thing to have that much momentum, because you've been getting bigger and bigger every time.
Yeah. And I did a lot of prep work way before I even launched. I had been working on my story, for at least particularly for this one, for years, trying to develop everything, and I wanted it to be set up and right, so that, like, because I knew it wasn't going to be one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm going to do another monthly, release. So I needed like preparation and time to have everything kind of like set up so that I could lay the foundation for me to be able to move into a make it more of a full-time thing rather than a part-time.
Yeah. So are you there? Like, are you all the way?
Not yet, no. I'm still doing. I have a full-time job still. So this is my my side hustle, if you will, that I really want to make my full-time.
I get the feeling you're close.
It's getting there. I mean, I think after this campaign, I think there's going to be, just not even the fact that the campaign's been doing so well, is working with Mog and like how gorgeous this art's been for this book and the story in particular. I think the combination of the two, and then like the colors with Bruna. I mean, just like this issue, like when it finally came together after Dave Lentz laid down the lettering. I mean, it was like, it was beyond in my expectations. Just it was a gorgeous book with a great story, and I think Snowpaw being the fan favorite that she is, it's not even like it's hard to even call it a spinoff or even a prequel, if you will, because the fact that it is its own thing.
Yeah.
It's not like you just take this part of Nightwolf and lay it over here, and it grows it became its own completely living being.
So I'm going to turn this to Mog just real quick here because he had established this universe. First off, actually, Willow, how you doing? Welcome to the show. I don't want to get too lost in the interview, and feel free, by the way, anybody that's streaming, concentrating, feel free to ask questions to these two. That's what they're here for. I'm sure they'll answer, and I will get to any questions you guys ask for sure, either here or on Facebook, however you guys choose to do it. But the Mog, like this is one. It's your first comic, so I kind of feel like this is like a big milestone for you because you've been doing covers for like ever, right? But the other thing is, this is like she's kind of an established character. The thing that really got me with her was, not just because again you actually tried to put a Gaelic accent on her. She had her own voice and her own character already. So for you, like, how was jumping into this? What did that feel like?
Oh, well, that's a lot of things.
Of course it is.
That's a great question. Well, first of all, like getting into like just the fact that that this comic is out is finally, I feel like it's a dream come true, because I've seen other of my artist friends who got their first cover art gig or working for a comic industry, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm so excited," and I'm like, "Good for you." And I remember when I first got my comic cover gig and all that, I wasn't really excited at all, to be honest with you. It's like because I felt it's not really doing comics. No, it's not really the meat of it. So I would officially count that this comic here with Rob is the official. And that feeling is incredible because it's kind of weird. You know how everybody has a story, right? They all want to tell a story, right? And they think, "Oh, I'm the shit, man. My story is better than yours." They always go like that. So of course I walk around like stick on my ass like that, but but I realized something working with Rob. If you want to hurry up and get your dream come true, work with people, man. The reason why you're not where you are at this point is because you actually need help. You actually can't do it yourself. So if you want to actualize your dream faster, just collaborate with people and work with it and make that dream come true, and it will just become faster and faster. That's like one of the biggest lessons I learned working with Rob. So thank you, Rob. And of course, I'm super happy. This is my first comic book. Damn it. I'm sorry, what?
Now you're really blushing. It's actually a real blush now. It's like, oh,
it's like she's thanking me, but I'm like I'm ecstatic and like I'm like that sad kid in the corner that nobody talks to, and then then the pretty girl comes over and talks to him. That's how I feel with this like
no.
Don't make it awkward, man. Rob, don't do that.
Listen, you brought up Italian porn off the show. I mean, like okay. That. I think we've passed the awkward phase. I think we're like we were past it.
If we were talking about breaking the ice, you totally like.
Yeah. Like it was just like bam, what ice? It's just now it's slush.
We're having ourselves a Titanic moment.
Yeah, true that.
But and also you nearly broke me actually when you said what you said there with the with I'm the shit. No, because there is that
Okay.
aspect of it too. There comes a point with every creative, it doesn't matter who they are, that you feel like you literally feel like you can like, I can do this better, right? I feel that with my stuff too. And I've done it, and and then at some point it's like, well, you gotta pony up and prove it. And like in my own little corner of the universe, I kind of like that's what I do. It's like I'm awesome. Then sometimes then you get that, and you have to have that ego a little bit, because if you didn't, you wouldn't do it, right? Right? You wouldn't do it. But you have to also recognize the fact. Oh no, no. Don't no, don't you dare do that. I know I know that, like, you're confident, and you should be. You've accomplished a lot. For you, Mog, this is also a chance to push your comfort zone. Because again, for you, covers, you've done them and I'm sure you will still do them. I mean, there's some you'll enjoy, some things you'll do, but let's be honest, you're not telling any stories when you do a cover.
Mm-hmm.
The real nuts and bolts of a comic is the interiors. Like, can you make a moment in time catch a feeling with somebody, right? That's a real challenge. That's storytelling. That's how you push. And in Rob's case, he's like, I got imposter syndrome. What the hell am I doing with this person? How did this happen? And I'm sure that, like, that's a big part of, like, I mean, it's one of the cool things about working in comics is you get to work with some amazing people. But it's also like, how did this happen? How did I, end up working or talking to these amazing people, right? And, the talking thing is more me than maybe you, but I mean, you get to work with them. But that's the, like, I mean, we all have that surreal moments, like, wow, I'm having a conversation with these people. In my case, in your case, it's like, wow, they're working with me and telling a really good story. How the hell did I get here? Right. And then you pinch yourself sometimes, right?
Oh, it's very easy. It's very easy, Josh. The stars have to align, and have to be your destiny. It's written in your chart.
Yes, exactly.
No, he did something for me in the past, and the karma and all that built up. Yeah.
You guilted her into it?
I owe him something, maybe. I didn't pay him back.
Like incriminating photos. I don't know. Like,
I don't know. And then I got reincarnated. It's like, oh shit, I owe this guy. So
yeah. It's like, oh shit, I got into an issue. Damn it.
I still owe him $500.
But actually, that does bring a really fun question, though. Like, when you, like, actually, we'll go from Rob's perspective, then we'll go to Mog's. You knew, I think, I'm gonna guess the third issue. You knew, like, there was a lot more to Snowpaw than what you had originally. I get the feeling she was planned to be a smaller character that kind of grew into something bigger.
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, fair enough.
So, and I kind of talked a little bit about this on our launch last night. When I was developing her as a character, and remember, like, X-Men were that was my go-to, that was my, so, like, I always had, like, a team reading, like, it wasn't just like a single character. So, like, when I would read Wolverine by himself, but even still, he would have one of the X-Men often in there with him, right? So so a lot of times when I was reading, I still had that, like, kind of like there was another character dynamic, even though they weren't necessarily a sidekick, but there was, like, a moral compass, if you will, like, even with reading, like, Wolverine. So I think in that same sense, when I was developing her, I wanted her to be that moral compass. And because the way with Nightwolf, him being this kind of, like, he's not necessarily good or evil. He's like the embodiment of modern day. Like, there's a gray line between what good and evil is anymore. So, like, but where she's more of the purebred. She's more of the holy good kind of a situation. So she kind of has that moral compass that kind of keeps him. So it was kind of meant to be like that secondary character throughout the series, and then kind of basically I wanted to also get it where, like, she would put him down too in a situation where, like, if he's being an asshole, you know, she could put him down.
Yeah, but she's almost like his Obi-Wan Kenobi is that's how I kind of figured it out. But I think somewhere along the way, and this is again, I'm not saying she didn't have depths, but she's as much a main character in that story as anybody else in that book. Like in Nightwolf, like totally. I'm not sure that's maybe you planned it that way, maybe you did, but I get the feeling because sometimes I know this too. Like there's a character like sometimes you write. Right. And it's like they say a lot more than you necessarily intend. Like you knew they were going to be an important character, but you didn't necessarily know how important they were until they really started talking to you. And that's for lack of a better term. My sequel to my next book coming out in December. All right. I have the Cheshire Cat inside Alice's head. So their back and forth is the whole book. It's one of my favorite like parts of the whole thing, and it's bigger, right? And and I really enjoy. Like, again, the cat was a bigger character at this point in time than I thought she'd be.
Yeah.
Right. So
that makes sense, and then especially if they have a bigger personality. I mean, you know, like obviously you know, when in the case of Nightwolf, you have like that teenager that everybody know. You know, you've seen that all over the place, right? That teenager personality, modern day setting situation.
Absolutely.
Whereas like her personality is so much bigger and more interesting that she had to have her own story be told.
Well, absolutely. No, and that's totally the deal, right? You come across and you see suddenly it's like this is bigger. Which leads me to, and so you're like, at some point, I can do a series with her, and that's cool. And maybe like you had that in mind because you built her up to like have a past and and I'm sure you have a direction where she goes after this arc at some point or another too. And I get that. We're not going to go there. That's not the point, right? Right? No, because honestly, it's not like that is another series, and we're talking about Snow because this story, from what I can tell, is set in her past.
Yes.
Right. So this is almost like maybe if not an origin story, at least an interesting story. Right?
It is so it is her origin story, and it takes place 200 years prior to the events of Nightwolf. So this is basically gives me that much time to play with. I mean, which is a lot of time that I could fill in there.
All right, can't wait to see. I can't wait to see her young, quote unquote, innocent side back then. But anyways, wait, Mog's strong her. Never mind.
Oh, you like the innocent ones, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. But no, so I guess let's use it to Mog because I'm going to imagine like you're a comic fan too, and like the Kickstarter era of comics, like there's a lot of good books out there. So did he approach you or did you approach him? Or was it a bit of both?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Actually, his face doesn't really register in my memory, but he said he remembers me. He was in a live. You were in a live book signing, right?
Yeah, I was signing with Henri.
Oh, was it Henri? I thought it was Jen King.
Henri, yeah.
Henri, okay. Because I was in Henri and Jen King, and gosh, there's other guys, Jimmy J, and then there's Jesse. Because I used to pre-COVID, I would buy a lot of comic books, and I was interested, and then I bought Rob's Nightwolf. And then I guess, I don't know, something he recognized me.
Yeah, well, I had been following your art prior.
Ah, okay.
And then you showed up on, like, so I was doing Henri's, I was like his very first, like, live signing. He had bought a couple sets of Nightwolf, and I had pre-signed them and sent them to him. And he bought like I think 2 or 3 full sets and then did a couple like 1 through 3s or something like that. And I think you got like the first couple off of him, but then you had to order the remainder off of me because you didn't have the full set. So that's kind of like how we got connected. And the fact that you then talked about how much you liked werewolves and were interested in the story. And so then I was like, well, if that's the case, let me slip this on in here.
So I can say I approached him first, and then he, approach me back.
It basically, like, her buying my books and telling me how much she loved them gave me the balls to ask her, would you like to do this series?
Well, that's the whole thing. I don't think people really like, this is probably if there's anything you can learn from doing anything like this, it's never be afraid to ask. The worst Mog would have told you is no. And you would have cried because that hurts. But at the same time, you would have been like, I understand, because you do understand, right? It's not one of those.
Exactly. I mean, there's, and it's not that it's a personal, no, I don't like you situation. It's commissions for an artist sometimes fill up. I mean,
it is what it is.
For a Nightwolf artist, I mean, I went through several before, like, Carlos and I really connected, so I mean, that wouldn't have been the first time if I would have said, hey, are you interested? And she would have said no. I'd have been like, okay, and probably moved on to the next one. And and if I heard later on down the road if her commissions had opened back up again, I probably would have reached back out for maybe a different project. But the fact that it worked out perfectly is like, the shocker here, that she accepted, and the fact that she had the time and availability, and and saw me as not as the small potatoes as I am, as like something worth, like, investing her time in.
Yeah, so it's very rare.
Yes,
to see,
the imposter is your friend. We'll come back to you on that one in a minute, but you're not small potatoes, man. You're not. There's a bunch of you. Again, since I've been watching very quietly watching the Kickstarter era of comics kind of go. I mean, there's you, there's Dustin Brunell, there's Jim Noble. There's a whole bunch of you that are like branching out and creating these cool little universes out there, and you're growing. Like, I don't think you guys have hit that like magical ceiling of where you can go yet. I think you guys have just started. Right. And it's, again, there are people that have come before you that have done really well. And one of people like Dirk Manning and Kalen Smith, but they've had years. You guys have, like, in comparison, have just started, but look how far you come. Nah, man, I'm going to politely push back. You're not small potatoes. It takes a lot to get one book done. You've done 5. That's honestly uber impressive, and never take that as a small thing. In fact, I would go so far to say it's because you have the track record you have that she even thought about saying yes to you, let alone saying yes to you.
Yes, I agree. It's because he had the track record. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't, like, that's why I'm going to push back a little bit on you, but don't sell yourself short. Finishing a book, and like even one book, is impressive, especially a comic. That's super hard to do. Getting the right people, the right pieces, the right place, the right time. That is not easy.
Oh yeah, right. I thought it would be a lot easier as I progressed.
Yeah, no, it's not.
No, it's just, yeah. If anything, it's the experience of knowing where the puzzle pieces go, but the work and effort that go to doing it's still there.
Well, I have like 8 rules to success, and the very first one, it sounds like the dumbest fucking rule. It's show up. It sounds so dumb.
It's true though, but if you're not there and you don't do it.
Well, that's what you look for when you work with people. That's literally it. Like, if you have that nailed down, ladies and gentlemen, you will get work, because you will beat 90% of the people out there with that first point. Like, I wish I was joking. I wish I was like lying. I'm not. Like, it's such a simple thing. Someone like Mog, who's done big projects, will be looking at people. It's like, well, who's actually going to be there? And you're one of those people that would be there. So I would imagine that, just strictly on a business level, that was a big reason she said you did consider saying yes. But there is also the personal stuff. It's got to be fun for you. So why was this, like, what was it about Snowpaw that made you go, Mog, I want to do this? Because it seems like a fun story to tell.
I always wanted to do historic, because I always like historical subjects and fantasy. I'm a huge fantasy fan. It's historic, urban. I don't
a little bit.
Urban, because I do a lot of architecture drawings. Urban stuff setting is just so boring. So, but and then he intrigued me. He said, "Hey, you interested in historic Scottish werewolf female?" I was like, "Oh shit,
I mean, all the
so
buzzwords.
good, man." It was hitting all the spots because I really love wolves. I mean, ever since I'm not joking, ever since I was a kid. I was a weirdo kid who watched all the Disney cartoons, and every time they depicted the wolf like a bad wolf, in Disney they do that a lot.
Yes.
And I was
awful.
why? Poor thing.
I mean, even like as recent as Frozen, like when the wolves were chasing and they kicked the wolf, I'm like, why would you do that?
I know. I was like, damn you. Damn you, stereotypes. You guys women are going extinct. Assholes.
Oh man, yes, Hollywood stereotypes. I literally talked about that last time I did a chat about the Big Bang Theory, because it's like all of them just cleverly disguised as like new stuff. No, but Disney's as guilty of that as anybody else. They do. Yeah, most of their animated stories are pretty much the same thing. God, that's depressing to think about.
It's because they know the formula that that entertainment formula that gets people going. I mean, they Disney's no joke. That's why they are where they are.
No, Disney is no joke. Nobody wants to mess with Disney. That mouse man is evil. That mouse. Not that I'm judging anybody or any all powerful overlords there that are possibly watching this. Like, no, but so that would explain. So again, just from previous experience, you must have enjoyed. That was probably one of the cooler things about Game of Thrones were the wolves. Like they were just because they were almost like a pack, like bond kind of thing, and the thing I like about Rob's take on the werewolves, on the werewolf stuff is it reminds me of some of my favorite stuff in fantasy. Like there's she's got a bit of a Highlander thing, like not the there can be only one, but that long history of a hey, who knows? Maybe I get to see that decapitation later on in the series. Who the hell knows? But she's like maybe, but I just the fact that there's a history and there's a story and there's a lot of layers to a character like that. Like very rarely do you look at it. Like you do that with vampires all the time, but you don't do that with werewolves too much. And
I think that to me, like I was always like, why isn't people always go into depth about like vampire and this and that.
Yeah.
For me, that were like, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave the vampire where they're at. People wonder, there's no reason to tell another story about those. I'm like, I'm gonna focus on what I want to do over here that nobody else is doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And you just build your own world that's fun and expectations. So I then I gotta ask this then. Okay, I'm not mentioning just about your own past work. Is there a wolf cartoon that you actually really dug, or a video game you really dug?
Are you asking me or Mog?
Mog. All right, actually, both. Why not both of you?
Yes.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. There is this animation called Wolf's Rain.
I've heard of it.
I've seen it. Yeah.
You've seen it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was on Adult Swim.
It's so good. Just don't watch the ending. Just don't watch the end. Just watch up to like the last 2 episodes. Struck me.
I can't
and every
help
time
myself.
I draw a wolf, even like here, I'm doing one still for Rob. The stupid song keeps playing in my head. The lyric goes like, "Been a long road for tomorrow, been there and gone from something." I don't know. It's just very haunting, super sad.
Yeah, I remember, like, I never really got too deep into it, but I remember, like, because I was watching Inuyasha a lot, like, in college when I was doing, like, work, like my schoolwork. That, would have Adult Swim on playing, and I remember that would come on right after Inuyasha. And, like, I remember it being like, wow, this is super depressing.
It is. Oh, God. This is depressing.
So
but
for
the
me...
character is a white wolf, man.
So for me, it was the video game Okami. The one little wolf where you can actually are painting worlds. It is such a cool video game. Yeah, like you're literally using color. It's almost like
Okami,
yeah. I that is such a cool game, and I'm not cool enough to watch television anymore. I'm still watching Fairy Tale. Like I'll get to Wolf's Rain eventually, but I'm still stuck in Fairy Tale. I'll probably be stuck there probably to the rest of this year. Probably sometime next year I'll finally get to do something else. So I'm not cool.
Yeah.
But no, I just
It's depressing.
that I'm not cool, or the Wolf Rain's depressing.
I mean, it's good. She's talking about Wolf Rain
Yeah.
being depressing.
Yeah, it's okay.
Depressing.
I can handle that as long as it makes sense to the story. Like I look at, as long as it if the story makes sense, I have no problem feeling sad at the end. I'd rather feel something than nothing, and then that's when you know it's a good
Well,
show.
exactly. If you feel something, then you know the creator's done their job.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally it, right? So, and that's the important stuff, right? You want to make, like, everything you do when you tell a story, you want people will remember what the stories made you feel. They don't may not always remember what they say unless you come up with something super cool. But I mean, that's fleeting. What people legitimately remember is that moment you feel something. Is that's why we read stories. That's why we tell them. We tell them because we want to share something to the world, and we want someone to feel that empathy when we do it. And it doesn't matter what the medium is. That's why we do what we do. And if we're really good at it, right? If we find that, we can touch somebody with what we do, that makes us feel good. It's like, hey, I'm not the only one that feels this way.
Exactly.
She's thinking about it.
So emo.
So
wow.
I don't like
no
emotional stuff.
I have
just
no
want to
soul.
be entertained, man. Give me some action.
There's nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with having that. There's those moments, but we all want to tell that. Like, I know this, like with my stuff, I want to do action and entertainment, but I want to make people feel something, because that's what people remember. I don't necessarily, again, it doesn't have to be sad, emotional stuff. I might want to make them laugh. I mean, I wrote a unicorn that farts out advertisements. I mean, I certainly didn't do that. I did that for my own personal amusement, and then other people got amused by it. Fantastic, right? If other people don't, well, then it's just my sense of humor, but that's okay. I laughed, and that's important too. So
yeah, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah.
What about you?
So what got me? So
what cartoon or whatever?
There were so many in like the 80s that just even so before I even got into like the horror stuff, like in the 80s as a kid, there was a lot of cartoons that had werewolves in it. And for example, like there was two particular Scooby-Doo movies, those made for VHS movies that they put out. There was Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, where Shaggy turns into a werewolf. There was the where they go, their teachers.
Sorry.
And there's the daughter of the werewolf was one of the kids that they had to teach. And so, like, in general, and like there's a lot of different like fantasy and supernatural stories that, like, in general as a kid, like I would always go to like the movie rental places. For those kids out there who don't know what that is, VHS is a thing you put into it.
We're old. Shut up, ladies and gentlemen. We're old.
So, going to, a rental place and picking up, like, there was a place called Van's Video that had you basically every Friday you could rent 5 tapes for $5. And so I would, like, we would get, each, like, me, my sisters, my mom, we'd all get our own. And then, like, that was like my weekend. Like, I'd be playing with my action figures and watching these things. So a lot of them were like fantasy based, or, whatever, that had like, elements of werewolves and stuff in it. And, at that time it was more PG because I was younger. And then as I got older, then getting into horror movies and seeing all the different types of werewolves and stuff that were coming out. And I always thought to myself that I enjoy the werewolves. I love, like, and wolves have always, like, huskies, like the look of those animals, like, for me, are like the ideal of like a canine, so I always like gravitated towards that, just like as far as like my, what I like. And then I would see, as I got watching these movies, I was thinking, these don't really look like I would imagine what a werewolf is, right? So that's kind of like when like I started kind of developing my own, and then I really got like as I was starting reading comic books, I was introduced to Wolfsbane from New Mutants, and then she went from there to X Factor, and then from X Factor to Excalibur, and I kind of followed her along, and she also became one of like part of my fan fiction that I had started writing when I was in junior high. And Josh, I was telling you about that. I think the last time we were talking.
Yeah, absolutely. No, totally. No, I think I told you last time, like Excalibur is like my secret favorite, like X-Men concept because it's just ridiculously fun.
Oh yeah.
And like when I look at the X-Men, there's so much. I'm like, it's too big a world for me. I can't follow it all. But I'll take like, give me Marauders because I like pirates, and give me Excalibur because I like the King Arthur stuff. And they actually did that in a really cool way. So,
well, and I think too, like whenever they were doing, like I followed a lot of Chris Claremont's writing too. So like where he would move, I kind of would also follow more because I enjoyed his stories over more of the. I mean, he basically made the X-Men what they were. Yeah. In the 80s and 90s, and then today, like obviously not so much, but I mean, like, but he put them on that pedestal. Along with Jim Lee. So it wasn't just Jim Lee's amazing art; it was also Chris Claremont's writing.
Absolutely.
But so from there, it was like, all right, now I'm working. Like after I decided to start doing my own original series, I still felt that there was a lot of like, where the werewolves were represented to me didn't look like they were too more man, I think, hairy men than they were or they were too far the other way, you know what I mean? And they were more like just weird shaped dogs.
Like gargoyle monster. I was so expecting when I saw the movie Underworld.
Yes.
When the werewolves finally made an appearance, I was like, I had high expectations that they're gonna look awesome, but they were almost there.
It was very close. It was, and I think that for me, like I remember because I was already like well under development with Nightwolf by that first movie, and I was like had high anticipations of it.
Yeah.
But again, I enjoyed it for what it was, and knowing that like not everybody's gotten it right. But prior to that too, like I started getting to the Werewolf the Apocalypse books, and like when I saw how a lot of the characters were drawn in the gamer guides, I was like, this is exactly what I envisioned. This is what I want. This is, that's how. So like that really catered to a lot of like, the visuals that you have in Nightwolf, and then leading into Snowpaw was basically like, that it was proven that it's something that actually could exist. And, just watching like these different, Gordon, and they're just, they weren't colored or anything. A lot of these books are black and white. So, I mean, it was just like gorgeous black and white art that felt like it could be a comic, but it never was. So that's when I was like, all right, I'm really doing this because it needs to be done.
No one was doing it. Would you count Teen Wolf though? Teen Wolf, kind of classic.
Teen Wolf, no? Teen Wolf is having fun with it. Like it's like I kind of put it in the same realm as Ghostbusters. It's like, yeah,
it's fun.
Like it's not obviously the same story, but the same tone. We're here to have a good time.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I mean, you can totally do a story where we're just here to have a good time.
Yeah, and I love Michael J. Fox. Yeah. So I mean, I like the movie for what it was, but to me, it just looked like Michael J. Fox needed a haircut and shave.
Yes, fair enough. But before we go, I gotta do this part. Tristan said, "I'll hail the pack leader," so I'll hail the pack leader. That is Rob Multari. Onk97 on. Nice to see you. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. But I just want to pay attention to, yes, guys, I am responding to any comments I see. It's just like we're just letting the interview kind of roll as we go as well. So the only series where I think werewolves are taken serious, again, they're not drawn, it's just written, I think, fairly well, is ironically enough, Ilana Andrews is like Kate Daniels stuff. Right, but it's not just werewolves.
You read that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Rob? Do you know about it? Do you know?
I know about it. I haven't read it. I know of it. I have.
So I have a friend. I have a friend of mine from India. She recommended the series to me, not because so much of the some of the concepts in there, but just the voice of the characters. And honestly, I just like those are incredibly sophisticated chasers, all of them, whether they're hyena, wolf, or actually, to be fair, although her new one does deal with the wolves a lot more. Up until like in the main King Daniels book, actually the wolves probably got sold shortest actually of all the shapeshifters there. But it's the only one where I can actually think of where there's a real sophistication to the wolf pack stuff. So.
Yeah, they call them the shapeshifters.
Yeah.
So I really like the concept in that book, where apocalypse hit, and then not apocalypse, like magic era and then non-magic era, and then the book starts with the magic era.
Yeah.
And then all these shapeshifters come out and they have all these rankings and hierarchy. They have their own world. That really actually got me too. But yeah.
Well, no, like that's like the most sophisticated, I think, shapeshifter story out there. I don't even think I'm hyperboling on that at all. I think that's it. Like there are other good ones, but that's as close as you're gonna get to your book, dude. That's as close as you're gonna get.
I've only just begun. Like Snowpaw is basically what's opening up that world more. Like Nightwolf basically just talks. She's telling him a little bit about it. Whereas this is actually going to show a lot more. It's going to open up that, that world wide open. And I'm excited, to see it come together. And once, this issue, again, it's one of those situations where it's like this. It's like, here we go. And then boom, we're going to blow up into a whole.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just be working while you guys.
No, it's all good.
I'm like, what is that? It looks like glue.
Actually, hold on. Let's do something kind of fun here. Let's do something here and give me a second
really
here.
Whoa.
I'm gonna be doing something. I'm gonna be doing something kind of fun. Give me a second here. I'm gonna move you. There we go.
Whoa. Shit. Okay.
What? I've been playing with video for 200 episodes now, so I almost know what I'm doing. Don't tell anybody or something.
I don't tell anybody.
I won't tell nobody else.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen. The scariest thing you can do in the world is tell the world you're competent. You damn yourself with the faintest of praise. Either be really, really good, or I don't know what I'm doing. So you'll never hear it either way from me. You'll only hear one or the other. Because if I'm really good, if I'm really, really good, hold on a second here. That should not be. There we go. Done. There we go. That's where it should be. If I'm really, really good at something, I'm asking for a shit ton of money. I'm sorry. I am that kind of whore. But right. So, but if I don't feel like I'm fully confident in that, I'm going to be honest and upfront about it. It's like I'm still learning, but even then, I'm not doing it for free. I'm not that person. So, you like that?
So somebody was yesterday. I was having a conversation to a group of creators. Was talking about getting paid and feeling guilty about it, and like that she didn't want to feel that way. She's like, I want to get paid, damn it.
I'm actually giving some really interesting advice to a very well established creative right now in my emails, because she's talking about the fact that she wants to be traditionally published, and I had this like eureka moment earlier this year, and because my first Alice story got nominated for an award. Whether I win or not is irrelevant. The fact was I did it independently. I didn't do it with a publisher. It's like, dear so-and-so, you're nominated for a award. Holy shit, is this real? It is real. I'm not getting taken for a ride here. This is absolutely for you.
Nice.
So,
I mean, I think self-publishing these days actually has more merit. Like the publisher, really what are they going to do? They're going to be like, okay, you're going to change this, this, and this. And then it doesn't even feel like your baby anymore.
We'll get to that first. But first, Mom, can you answer a question from the audience? They want to know what you're painting. Is it something special for the Wolfpack? An's asking.
Yes.
And this in particular.
Yes. That's all you get to know.
Okay.
Was that funny? Oh my gosh. Okay.
No,
glad I made you.
He was like,
it's
"Slam."
not. It's not what you say. It's just how you say it. It's how totally how
really?
you say it. It's not even like you're blunt, and I like in the best possible way. I there's a no bullshit factor to you, and that's it's refreshing. Like
Sure.
She's like, "Shut up."
it's like shut up, you're being too nice. Fuck off.
Go back over here and look at Italian porn.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's
That's
look
right.
at some Italian porn.
That's right.
They're the best.
Yeah, that's right. That's why she's drawn. So I'll distract you with the pretty pictures. I'm gonna look at my porn. It's like, okay, that's fine. At least it's part of the show. But no, like so traditional publishing. The thing you got to understand about traditional publishing is it caters to a very specific audience, and if you want to cater to that audience, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Totally, but are you doing it because that's the audience you want to cater to, or are you doing it because you want some kind of prestige or recognition? The truth of the matter is today, like you can be recognized no matter what you do, where you go, or how you do it, right? There's no magic way and there's no magic formula to success anymore. It's like pick your path, go through it, right? And don't expect again, I didn't expect that award this year. But maybe again, put everything into perspective. It's like I can just do everything on my own and ask cool people to help me when I need it, because Lord knows I need all the help I can get. Right. But
don't we all?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But that's the thing, right? Like you reckon when you recognize like again, people recognize your work. If that's what you're going for, people will recognize your good work no matter where it comes from now. So the question is, like, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Right? Like, you may not get the big awards in Kickstarter. But you might still get a fan base, a following, and you might, again, man, you've done, is this your 6th book? Like, have you done anything else?
Well, yeah, this would be technically 6. Yeah.
But yeah, this is your 6th book.
Yeah.
Your first of a new series. So, like, you're launching your 2nd book, dude. That's again, that's huge. There are a lot of people that would want to be in your position right now.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I kind of like having the 2 series to juggle with, because it fills that time. So with Carlos, as I'm waiting for him to work on an issue, I feel like there's always so much time in between. It was nice to be able to like work with Mog doing the art while like Nightwolf was being launched, and then vice versa. Now we're launching Snowpaw, and I'm in the middle of working with Carlos on art for issue 6. So it's nice being able to kind of dual things at the kind of the same time, but it's also, for my ADD, it's nice because then I can go like this. Ooh, a pretty picture. Ooh, I got a backer. Ooh.
So I'm going to ask both of you the question, but I'm going to ask the person watching the porn, Mog. I got a question for you.
Yes.
So you like the genre, but I think the big question is for you, Snowpaw is your first series, and you're carrying, no disrespect to Rob, by the way, but you're driving the story with art. So I mean, it's definitely pushing you. It's definitely pushing you out of your comfort zone. But what I'm kind of curious as, what did you want to bring to the character that you like? Because she's as much your character now as Rob's.
What do I want to bring the character?
Yeah.
Let's see. What I'm like mostly afraid of is when they depict fighting women, like Brave or something. Usually, the artist or the genre they direction go to is, I don't know why, but maybe it's a Western thing. They go really butch, like as if I have bigger balls than you, that kind of thing. And the thing is, what I want to retain is the feeling I want to get in general of the whole mood of aside from even her, is she will still have that fragility. And then, wolves, they look awesome and they're beautiful, but there's something about them that has a bit of a fragility and haunting quality about them, and there's a tragedy about it. And I kind of want to see that a little bit happening to her. Like, I mean, I want to kind of bring that feeling.
She's like, I must break her.
Yeah, as long as I hope she doesn't get like just totally butch. I mean, as in also in attitude, she can retain her just somewhat feminine or tomboyishness. She has her own charm. Like there's a certain innocence about her right now, and if I can somehow kind of go with that, and also I want to, because if you look at Nightwolf is very urban and very action, but if you see Snowpaw, it has a feeling of fantasy, and there's a different feel, and I just want to kind of bring in that little bit of touch and show the viewers, hey, there is another perspective. You can see it in a through a different lens. Not romantic, not really too feminine, but just maybe a fantasy feel, maybe just something a bit more of a serious feel. I don't know.
I have a thought. But first I'm going to address both. So I think we got answered why Snowpaw. We did answer a little bit why she likes werewolves earlier. We talked about Disney cartoons and how they were always depicted as evil, and that was why.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and the thing about Snowpaw is actually very. So I'm going to get my observation on Snowpaw in a minute. I'm going to comment on the writing and art thing. I am by no means I'm by no means disrespecting Rob's writing, because obviously without him the story doesn't come to be.
Yes.
But when you look at great comics, like it's totally a teamwork concept. But great comics, like you can take the most writing in comics is invisible. Like the actual bubbles on the page are a very tiny piece of the writing. Most of it is behind the scenes, the direction, and that's where you'll see a lot of Rob's work. But in terms of telling the story and carrying the story, the penciler at least does all the front heavy lifting. If you took all the words of Rob's book out, you could still theoretically get the gist of the story, right? Theoretically, anyway, the gist of the story from Mog's drawings. That doesn't mean you get the full story or you get all the pieces together. But I find good comics have that aspect to them, right? And again, going back to Rob, I have written comics, my own comics, and most of my writing never sees the front of the page. It's all in the background. It's like, hey, can you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that? This is better than I thought. Holy shit, keep doing that.
I think with Mog and I, it's and the same with Carlos. It's more of a give and take. I lay out the camera angles and everything in my head the way I think it should be, what's in the scene, and then typically, like, if they decide that there's something that works better, I'll allow it. But unless I have an actual, like, no, this is the reason why it's got to be this way. So again, it's a back and forth.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So I'm going to ask a double part question for Rob on this one, because now you have almost two different Snowpaws, right? Because in one sense you do, because you have a past Snowpaw that kind of, and now that it's going to add gravity to your present day series as well. Because you tell that story, you're going to know her better. Will that change how you write her a little bit down the road, or do you because you're going to have that gravity that for people that do read both books, it's going to they got these cool little Easter eggs of different things now that you didn't know in the past.
No, I don't think it'll change the direction of Nightwolf with her. If anything, it lays the groundwork of why she is in that kind of state of mind and being at that point in throughout the book. So it definitely is not gonna change her personality or her story arc or any of that, where because that's already laid out. It's basically, this is going to go back and give the reasons why she ends up from A to Z.
I actually agree with this guy. I agree with Rob. Sorry, not this guy. Sorry. It's so hard doing two things at once.
Maybe three, but that's okay.
Okay, what you don't know, Josh, you think it's the art that's, you're seeing the art, but what you really don't know is like what Rob just said. it's really like he does a lot of camera angle. It's really his vision coming out. I'm just the hand. I'm just really literally the hand. So he actually, what you guys don't seem to know is that he has an art background. So he is very clear on his vision and his art style sense and his aesthetic and his taste. So
my hand's just not as good as hers.
yeah, exactly. I just
There are
better
very few
hand
people
job,
in the
that's all.
world. There are very few people in the world that are as good as she is, right?
Yeah,
No,
So
no, no, no.
it's very nice too because like it goes from here to here and then into her and through here. But it gets like it's like getting that pretty filter on your phone.
all right,
Yeah, I'm
so
just the pretty filter, yes.
yeah, okay. So I have a theory. Now, this was my theory about what you're actually going to bring to Snowpaw. If I'm wrong, call me out on it. This is just a thought because she has a certain the thing about that impressed me about her was she's very compassionate, right? And that's the one thing about her that really struck with me is yeah, she's fierce and she's like all kinds of a badass, but the thing about her is she's protecting him because I always got a sense with her that she didn't have the same protections when she was going through her changes and her evolution. So I get the feeling like the big thing about her I think is I don't know, I don't think innocence is the right word for her. It's keeping her um it's keeping her like going through tough stuff. How does someone find the strength to let it go? Right? Right? You never fully forget, because I don't think any of us fully forget the experiences that shape us. It's dealing with that pain and kind of like finding that way to let it go and or at least move on and forgive. Am I right? Am I on something?
You're kind of it's like you're like up and down on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have hints of what of accuracy there, but then there's also, I think it's more so like also the time period you have to consider that she's a woman in the 19th century and there's less freedoms, so she's more so like also trying to fight against the grain of these stereotypical situations and of the time. And she's very strong-willed and very like, I'm going to do what I want even if you think I shouldn't do it because it's not ladylike, like, so there's a lot of that to it. And the fact that she's and it's kind of funny too because I see this a lot in my daughter, and I didn't like really when I was writing this and that like it was prior to like my daughter having these kind of inclinations, but as I'm seeing it, I'm like, oh no. Very strong-willed, very like defiant, very like, and so and this you could tell that when there's a scene with her and her father butting heads. Yes. You know what I mean? But there's still another like there's a scene where they're like joking, based off of the fight that they had. Like she called him a dunderhead, and so then and then it comes back, it comes back full circle, but more in a joking manner, and that they have like that father-daughter loving moment at the same time too. So it's there's a lot, and after this book, it kind of like this basically sets up a lot of emotion, as we were talking about. The ending leaves you as a cliffhanger, and then there's going to be a bit of a situation in issue 2 that is revealed that happened during the first issue, that it's not necessarily one of those things that's on camera, if you will. Use the screen terms.
Well, it's not that first off, Mel says very steady hands. Like, yeah, like looking at what you're doing, that would take a very, very steady hand. Holy crap, looks hard.
Yeah.
That looks really hard. But no, and yeah, absolutely no angles and stuff like that. Like I said, most of the like the writing for comics, from what I've done, is very much behind the scenes. It's not like most of the frontal stuff is the visual, because it's a visual medium, is the penciler. But I mean, the writer definitely plays a big role is direction, camera, and just the beats of the story, right? I mean that they're all the writers, right? and with some input from the artists, because they're helping tell that story. So definitely back and forth. But like I said, I always have a lot of respect because of that. I look at like what Mog does and people like Mog. It's like I'm getting better at my stuff, but I'm not even close to that, and I won't be there for years to come. So, but that's cool. Like I've learned a lot more respect about the visual medium in the last year. So it's definitely it's been fun. So then I'm gonna ask. Someone ask this then. So is Snowpaw gonna be like a series of like I would say minis? Because again, you have the ability with her to go to different time periods, right? You don't have to like the first arc can be 200 years in the past, but the next arc could be 50 years from this moment in time if you wanted to. Is that kind of where you feel like she's kind of like an anthology kind of thing, or is this are you going to move her closer to the present with each issue?
So this is planned like so. Again, it's one of those things where I have 200 years to play with. This first story arc is going to be 4 issues rather than like the 12 that I did with Nightwolf. But it is one of those things where it could be, you can drop it anywhere after that between. But if all things go the way I would like it to go, it would be an ongoing, because there's a lot of story to tell, and I want to tell those stories. And but again, it depends on how well received everything is. If we get to issue 4 and it's not as well received, then we could leave it at that, and then where she picks up later on. Or if we wanted to drop different points in time, we could do that as well. But again, I think this is it's a strong series to begin with, and I think that we have that ability to make it a longer ongoing thing. And I anticipate this actually surpassing Nightwolf almost in a way that not so much that not saying because I love Nightwolf, that's my baby, this, you know what I mean? Like I have that feeling that like, when you have that, you have a hit, but then you have that like home run that you knock it out of the park. You know what I mean? Like not so much that I'm overly believing in myself, but the fact that like I think this series has that potential.
Well, it's a challenge for both of you, but for different reasons. And for you, because this is where I'm going to say like for you, like we talked about Mog, like getting into doing interiors and telling stories, and which is a lot easier than doing covers. But in your case, Snowpaw, because of the fact that you have 200 years to play with, is a far more complex character than Nightwolf is, because he just doesn't have that history. Now, you can do some cool things. You can do things with Nightwolf that you can't necessarily do with Snowpaw, right? Because you have a lot more you can do with her, right? At the same time, one of the hardest challenges, right, is this is a past story. So she's going to walk away from this. So you got to figure out how to create tension. You got to figure out how to like keep it compelling. So it's going to use a lot more muscles from you creatively, right? Then I'm not going to say you're used to Nightwolf exactly, but it's for you. It's also about pushing your comfort zone.
Oh yeah, I mean, right? I did a lot of when I was writing this, I did a lot of digging. Like I did a lot of like looking into Scotland's history, like their industrial age. Considering the fact that I wanted to know what was happening at the time that I was writing this, so that I was attesting to like what was actually going on then, so like a lot of this is going to be a lot of historical digging to make sure that I'm trying, because I am one of those who is very stickler for accuracy, even despite the fact that it's like a fantasy series, so to speak. I still want it to be like hints of like that it could have actually happened.
Well, it also creates a bit more of an authentic feel, because what you're trying to do is like you want this to feel from a tonal standpoint, you want this to feel different than Nightwolf, because it's not that you don't want it to be like female Nightwolf. You want this to be Snowpaw's story.
Exactly.
See, it's got to feel different. So it's again, the scope of this story is much bigger potentially. It just is, because you got a lot more character to play with, and you got a lot more story to flesh
I
out of.
didn't want the typical the female saved by the hero situation. Like if anything, I wanted to break those trends and then do where especially at that time period where I wanted a female kind of being the lead, saving the prince, if you will, that kind of I wanted to be able to do more of that kind of stuff with her. I didn't want her to be reliant on others, throughout her series as much as you could see, like you said, where Nightwolf, she kind of has to pull him back by his puppy scruff, if you will.
Yeah, because again, she's kind of Obi-Wan because she's been through everything, right? So you got the story of how does she become his Obi-Wan Kenobi? What does she go through? What lessons does she need to learn, right? What are her challenges going forward, right? And especially if you go later, once you get to that maybe 100-year mark, does she change as quickly? Is she as comfortable changing? Is she you know what, civilization sucks, I'm going to go into this cave, right? And
there's an earth-shaking moment for her that I think that changes her trajectory, where it comes into play, and you can see where you can see a hint of that throughout the Nightwolf series, is that she has this trigger when it comes to Blacklaw, and there's a reason for it. And it's one of those things that it's you get so angry and it totally blacks out your judgment, and you do things that you shouldn't do, so that does kind of play it trends throughout the Nightwolf series, but we don't actually see, we hear tell of it but not actually see it, you know what I mean? There is that kind of there's a despite her being a benevolent creature and having a lot of compassion, I think that compassion also kind of has that hint of the dark side, if you will, on that, just the anger that she has for Blacklaw, and coming through you could see that in the series. And again, we'll put her in situations where she's like, crap, why did I do that?
Yeah.
What's going to be also interesting is a wolf mentality. The animal instinct is pack mentality. They don't want to be alone. They're very social creatures. So if her character, in her personality, human personality is, I'm independent, I don't want to work with anybody, and then the wolf instinct is saying, must find a pack. Must. Don't be alone, because if you're alone, you die. That kind of.
Well, I think that's more along her line. I think she has a pack mentality, and I think that's why when she comes to Nightwolf's aid, it kind of she kind of takes him under her wing, because she had been alone for a very long time. I'm not going to say why or how, but there's a period of time where she was doing things by herself. So having a companion kind of helps that relationship a little bit, even though it's very tenuous at first. But going back to this, it's not so much with her personality now, she's like, no, I don't need help. It's not so much that she doesn't want companionship. She's got that young, I want to do it myself. Don't tell me what to do. You know what I mean? But but I think that's a family thing. You know what I mean? It's like a 3-year-old yelling at you saying, no, I don't want to, but
I can't picture her at 3. And to answer your question, Dell, I just can't do it. Dell's like, what's up? What are we talking about? It's Snowpaw, all Snowpaw, all the time, actually, at this point, because like I said, when I was reading and when I do the review, which I'm hoping it's for tomorrow, we'll see. It's going to be. I've had a crazy busy 2 days, So, no, it's one of those situations where, she's a very intriguing character, and you can do again, from just a creative standpoint, you can stretch her in ways you just can't with Nightwolf right now. That doesn't mean you can't get there with Nightwolf, but he's got a lot more work to get to that point, and
he's got a lot of maturing to do.
Yes. I really can't wait till he really gets his butt handed to him. I don't know when that's coming exactly, but I know it's gonna happen because he's gonna have almost that same. I couldn't do it by myself. She's gonna be like, okay, I'll just go into that corner over there. But but one thing I wanted to talk about, and Mel, I'll totally take a whiskey. I mean, we would totally. I think all of us would. So, but totally would. But no, yeah, actually, that is a good question. How did she get her name? You may not be able to answer that here. That's what Mel is asking: is how did she get
Snowpaw get her name?
Mm-hmm.
So that will be. So again, that's hinted at in Nightwolf, because he actually does ask her that question. I wasn't. You know what? I don't remember if it was in issue 5 or 6. I think it might be in 6. But yeah, because is issue 6 because that's when she gives Nightwolf his name. So her name is given to her by who will be her mentor, Silvermane, and he is hinted at in the first issue of Snowpaw. But that relationship is even more. It's even more rocky than like what hers and Nightwolf's is at first. So that's going to be fun for me to kind of play with because it totally changes over time. But he does in Nightwolf issue 6. There's a line where she says, and it's not really much of a spoiler, so I might as well just say it. So there's a line where she says that Silvermane gave me the name, because the color of my fur reminds me of the snow of his Nordic home because he's a Viking werewolf, and so that's kind of like where that came from. But of course, I'll elaborate more of that down the road in this story. It'll eventually come out, but not right away.
No, it's interesting where you're going to reveal your expectations. So I'm not gonna ask the lamb. Do you need to read one to read the other? Because the answer obviously is no. What I am gonna ask is, so again, you had this character in your head, and I kind of mentioned this like earlier. Nightwolf's success has opened doors to do this. Will you do other characters in the series as well, if depending on how this goes, or is Snowpaw kind of that unique? She's got the story bits for that.
I think there might be one other character that I could spring off of this, and that would be from Nightwolf. I could probably do a whole Night Hunter series with the supernatural Slayer. Him and Jesse could probably I could probably take that and do a whole nother, or even maybe just do a mini series with them. And Mike's saying you could do the witches.
Yes, you can do the witches. There you go.
And yeah, I mean, I could do a mini series on their origin too, or maybe they might be in somewhere else. I don't know. But yeah, so I think though, like in general, I think focus series wise, like main series, Snowpaw can be a standalone, and then the others I think would be more of a mini outside of Nightwolf, because I also have other titles that I do want to focus on that they are hinted at in issue 2. So that would be like my other 3 titles would be Crimson Dawn, Arcane, and Redemption, and those 3 plus Nightwolf in the modern setting later on down the road have a world-ending event that they must prevent. Kind of Avenger style, but not really, because they work terrible as a team. They're not a team, and they will never be a team. But they have to work as a team for this world-ending event.
So, did you ever read Grant Morrison's Seven Soldiers? Like, yes. It would be, is it that kind of team where they save the world, but they don't actually work together in the way you would expect?
Really hate each other. Yeah. There's a lot of, I mean, there's kind of like, there's a little bit of mutual respect in a sense, but like really they're not, there's not going to be a bonding moment.
Well, some people just don't like each other. Some people are too much alike, and I'm sure there's a little bit of yin and yang to all of them. It's like, I just see too much of me in you. Screw you. Right, right. And then there's some of them. It's like I just don't like you. I just don't. And that's okay. Like I know it's hard to believe, but I mean, there are people that don't like me. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things. But we're all made for different. We're all made for certain kinds of people. That's just the way it is, right? We're not as long as everybody's allowed to kind of live and let live. I mean, that's what makes the world interesting, right? So,
right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So okay, so I'm gonna ask, because you've been working on this really well and you've been doing all kinds of wonderful things. Can I ask what it is, Mog, or are you not going to tell me?
I think I know what it is now that I see the colors.
I don't know, Rob.
Do you want me to just kind of give a little?
Yeah.
A little spiel. So it's part of a 4-part lunar phase.
Sneak peek.
Yeah, so that's a sneak peek of different. So there, once basically what we're gonna do is there's like lunar phases. There's 4 different pieces that we're gonna be adding on as add-ons throughout the campaign, and so it's up for grabs. It's gonna first come first serve. Whoever gets the first one, we'll put up the second one. Whoever gets that one, so on and so forth. So potentially one person could get them all, or 4 different people could get all, get different ones. And if they want to buy them off each other, that's kind of up to them. Because this is for it's a chance that more people can get more art, or several people can get a piece of art. So it's not going to be like a tier or anything. It's just going to be an add-on. As soon as we put it up on the site or on Kickstarter, they can go grab it. So, and it's gonna be first come, first serve. I'll obviously let them know through the backer updates, email, social media, and then it's like go,
go,
fight. Just wanted to make something interesting. Yeah, where instead of like you see a campaign, it's the same. It's not gonna be the same every day. We're gonna do like some surprising things. So it's more fun for people to come back and check on the campaign.
Yeah, and it's nice to have, especially during the middle of the campaign, when you've seen, as a backer, you've seen the same thing, or even somebody who's on the fence. Okay, nothing's changed. But the more you put up there, that's keeping them coming back and looking, giving them reasons. It helps to keep the campaign alive and the interest and the fun, and it gives it that extra competition side of it, if you will, doing it this way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to make the quick announcement. They are literally $9 away from 8K right now, guys.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm making that announcement because, I feel like I should, because they were nice enough to come here and put up with me for over an hour. So I should at least promote their campaign. But
should we share the campaign here?
Well, we're definitely going to do that. Definitely at the end here.
Awesome.
There are a couple. There's definitely a couple of things. Actually, do you have the link? Do you have the actual link?
Yeah.
Just send me the link, and I'll comment it on the Facebook if you want, and just send me the link here, and I'll put it up on the Twitch.
Comment on the Facebook.
Yeah, you do the comment on the Facebook, and then send me what, and then I'll send it. I'll put it up on the Twitch here as well, so people can actually pick it up.
I heard it.
Yeah, hold on a second here. It'll show up in just a second here. It's all right. It hasn't shown up on the Facebook yet, but when it does, at least not on mine, give it a second there, and it'll do it. But that's really cool.
Yeah, because there is a delay from one.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's just give it a second here. This is kind of a really cool. No, it's like I said, it's been I'm actually really excited because, like I said, I've been a fan of Mog since I discovered. There we go. Thank you, Ravnos Loki. Yeah, that is very cool. So anybody that wants to support it, there's how you support it, right? Because straight up, yeah, like this took my money too. But like I said, it's but literally, I when I do my Kickstarter campaign for my Alice series next year, there's going to be a tier that says "Shut up and take my money."
Nice.
Yeah, just because it's truly the best future, one of the best future llama lines of all time for me, and that's something to be said. It's a great show, but no, it's two really, really talented people putting together a great book. I think it's going to be a really, really great book. So actually, so I'm going to ask a tough question, and if it's a spoiler, you do get an out, Mog. But I'm just very curious. I'm just very curious. What in this book, what was your favorite on it so far?
Favorite thing to draw?
Well, it was the favorite thing to draw in the book specifically. Yeah. Like what was like?
Actually, it was two things. The entrance of this guy. He's an asshole. I really loved doing the bad guy drawing. And then action scenes. I was surprised. I really loved doing the action scenes, man.
Yeah, I like there was a lot like in the action scenes that like where there was the elongation like of the figure like because of the action. I thought was very anime like and a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very interesting. Like like a still from it. It was just I thought that was very unique, and I liked how that came out.
And so
thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Yeah, and well, bad guys are just fun. Like they are just so fun to do. I like
you got to love to hate them too. Like they've got to be interesting enough that you're like you love them, but yet you hate them.
Here's the thing. Like this is always the thing about being with bad guys. They can do things other characters can't do, and they're also kind of like setting the pace of the story. They're the reason they are called the antagonists for a reason. They antagonize. They move the action, and if it's done really well, it's fun because it's just fun. But at the same token, like you have to. The very delicate balance with the bad guy is you have to hate them just a little bit there, and the best way to do it is figuring out even early on what kind of chicken shit they are, right? Because every bad guy at heart is a coward on some level. You just gotta find what that is, right?
So little not really a spoiler, but like, so the character, the villain in this, and I think what I like about him is he, as a werewolf, you don't see this ever. You don't see like a suave, debonair style werewolf. Like he kind of reminds me, and Meredith, it kind of pointed at this one time. She said that he reminds her of Scar from Lion King, like the way he like just his mannerisms, the way he talks, and it kind of I think. It is kind of in that fashion, and he has great power, but he doesn't use it often. There's a thing where you would think, like the cliffhanger at the end, you think he's about to, but in the second issue, because he's the kind of like Lord Malice is in Nightwolf. He is the Covenant's lord of this region of Europe. So he has mass supernatural power, and he can call upon, various kinds of supernatural creatures and demons and such. So there's a point in issue 2 where you think he's about to, because he's this all-powerful, lord, right, that he's about to kind of open that up. He steps back. He calls...
Rob, stop.
I'm not but here's the thing. I'm not spoiling what the creature is.
Okay.
Okay. Couple things. First off, yeah. Don't ruin it. No, for a couple things. I'm just gonna mention this real quick for anyone curious. I'm just doing this as a solid there. Mog's commissions are currently closed, but there will be Snowpaw blank covers. I'm sure you can talk Mog into doing something for you. Just talk to her agent, Mr. Mel, and they'll definitely come up to an arrangement somehow, some way. I'm sure. Right?
She's like, I'm overworked enough. Stop it.
Well, yeah. Well, there's that, but also. Well, there's two parts, and actually, I'm going to answer. I was going to talk about this a little, Mel, as well. It's not just the fact that maybe he's old and powerful, but also here's the thing: the problem with power is the more you use it, the less powerful you oddly become. Because it gets rid of the mystery, the aura, the danger, right? Mm-hmm. When a character does like that bad and that mysterious and that powerful does something. every time you want to go like, oh, he
You
like,
reveal. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, you broke my brain. Like that's literally like that. But that's what you want. You want the bad, because again, you want to make the bad guy terrifying,
Yeah.
right? You don't want him to do very much. My favorite like bad guy of all time is David Bowie's character in The Labyrinth. He did nothing. The whole, like, seriously, if you look at the movie,
Yeah.
he did not do a lot of action.
Yeah.
He was bad. He was bad because of his aura. Now, grant you, Bowie, it's David Bowie. He was having fun with it too, totally.
He
But
was flaunting his codpiece.
yeah, exactly. But what made that so terrifying, right, was he didn't do anything. So you never knew what he was actually up to. So everything he did was a surprise. And surprise can be a very powerful thing, a storytelling device. If the bad guy's doing everything, unless he's like, you know, some psycho version of Batman, which is boring after a while, right? You don't want to necessarily, you don't want to see how the sausage is made. You'd rather have someone come in, boom, holy crap, he did that, and just walk away. It's like, what's he gonna do next?
Well, it's for me, the reason why I enjoy drawing the antagonist is nothing as complicated as, you know, you got elaborate as you guys were talking about. It was just simply, as a artist, if you keep drawing the same character, the girl, the good girl, all the time, you get tired of her. And then if you see one character that comes in and just F's her up, it's like, yeah, man, do it, man. Jesus Christ. It's like that, you know.
So I got two questions for you, Mog. One from the audience. What is your next con?
Oh, my next con is gonna be on December. It's actually around West Coast, Ontario. So
Ontario,
I
California.
will give you the exact date later.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Second question: are you secretly a supervillain?
What?
Are you secretly a supervillain? Because you just were talking about wrecking stuff, and I want action scenes, and I like bad guys. So I'm just like, are you like the villain behind them all? I'm just figuring I'd ask that question.
I don't think so.
No,
I'm just
not
a
the
simple
villain.
girl. I'm a very good, simple girl.
She's actually looking at Diane porn.
Yeah, that's right. That's how she broke the ice tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in case anyone is new to this part of chat. I just get into comics. I watch Italian porn. Well, that was not an answer I expected.
Yeah. It's the art, guys. It's the art.
It's art. Yeah. Well, I called it. I said heavy metal, and I was absolutely right on that. So
I read Playboys for the articles.
That's right.
But a good villain. Also, I agree with everything you guys did talk about villains. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what they actually are. Is what drives the story.
Mm-hmm.
They create conflict.
Without them, what's the good guy to do? I mean,
exactly
about their day.
Exactly.
Well, usually a good villain is actually represents some kind of the bad, like an obstacle for the good guy, like somewhere to grow, like as a good guy, right? Is usually the bad guys, the best bad guys are like good foils for the good guy. It's like, hey, you know that thing you suck at as protagonist? I'm gonna make you deal with it all the time, right? I am that asshole when I actually write my villains. I'm sorry, right? Also, Mel tends to agree that you are the villain. I'm just
yeah. Who asked that question? What villain, huh? Who said that? I'm gonna hound that person.
Listen, look, I'm never gonna fight against you. You'll kick my butt. I mean, and also you got Mel as your bodyguard. I mean, I mean, the only thing is I know I can compliment him and he at least cooking me food, so I got that superpower.
Wow, that's the second, like in 2 days, like somebody said Mel cooking food for them.
Well, no, so I've been just really quietly, like people that know me personally, I've been quietly going around. I've done these quiet I appreciate you posts. So I've been doing them publicly for the last few days just because it doesn't cost much to be kind. So Mel's response was my favorite. He's like, "Flattery, sir, will get you nowhere, but let me know when you're in town. I'll cook you dinner." So it's like, damn, I got dinner. It's like, sweet.
I mean, I've seen the pictures of the food that all the
Yeah, I know. No, I'm totally. No. I listen. I am an easy man. He's a good. Like I've seen the food he cooks. Like I'm in. I like sure. I'm not gonna say no. What am I? I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. You know what I mean? It's like right.
And I'm the cook in my family, so having somebody else cook for me would be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, really, Rob? You cook?
I
You
do.
like
Yeah.
cooking?
Mhm.
Yep, I do too. I do bake, although I'm somewhat dangerous as a baker. A little bit dangerous. Baking isn't an exact science. If you don't get it right, it can go foul really fast. But I mean, I do make a mean banana bread. I do make a very mean banana bread.
I haven't
So
had a good banana bread in ages.
yeah, it's
Aw, you
it's
guys
good.
like sweets. Oh,
I do. I have the biggest sweet tooth ever. If like there's
I
anything sitting on the counter, if the kids have left it, I'm like,
mine.
like
It's going in my belly.
the monster will eat it.
For me, it's actually it's actually two parts to that question. I actually like sweet, but I also like spicy. Like I like really spicy as well. So it's just like I can go both ways. Like, I'll take it. Whatever.
I mean, what?
Yeah. But I think my only limitation food wise is if it's still moving. I'm not sure I got that in me. Like that's my limit. But beyond that, I'll try anything once, and if I like it, I'll try it twice. So
you guys are sweet tooths.
Mhm.
Maybe that's why you guys are sweet natured.
yeah, maybe
That's why I have a big belly.
That's why I have a big belly. It's all good. All good. But all right. So I got two more questions, and I think we have a chat here. I think we have a pretty good interview. And thanks, guys, for doing this. This was
Thank
a
you
lot
for
of fun.
having me.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So you since you're already so the first arc for Snowpaw is it how many issues? 4 issues? Was that the plan?
Yeah, this particular story arc is 4 issues, with more planned. Again, we're hoping that it'll take off to become a full series.
Well, no, totally. I just like just honestly like no knock to Nightwolf. This sounds like a much more like sophisticated story, and I'm very curious to see what you two. You both are very talented, so I'm very curious what both of you how both of this comes about and looks about, and I can't wait to read the first issue of it when it comes out because I somehow feel you're going to make your goal, and I don't think it's going to suck. I could be wrong.
I hope not. And all the people who've reviewed it already have lied to me.
They've lied. Cheers. They're just
They're all liars. No, just kidding.
they're just yeah. So Kira. Okay, so it looks like Mel is actually a villain after all. When the guest day's over, we have to do the cooking. And also, Kira, hi Kira, welcome to the show. Yeah, we're coming towards the end of it, but the beautiful part is it's going to be right here. So a couple things. One thing before the audience before I go, I generally don't do Facebook chats anymore, but I might be persuaded to do one more for this campaign. I'm going to try to talk Mog into doing something, but we'll do that off the air. But for the rest, I never want to put anybody in a position if she doesn't want to do it. It on the air is much harder to say no, and I would rather if she wants to say no, she can do it off the air, right? So, and I'm because again, no is okay, right? I don't lose anything. I might cry in the corner afterwards, but I'll get over it, right? But the second question is actually, and this one's for both of you. Actually, no, one for Mog. So now that you've done a comic, no, this is the one. This is the one for Mog. Now that you've actually done a full comic,
yes.
Are you like? How was the experience overall for you? Like, did you enjoy it? You want? I obviously you're going to do more, but was it everything you imagined, or was it even more than what you expected?
It was definitely tough. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And I think Rob should know this. I left a comment at the end after I submitted the last page. I said, "Hey, thank you, man. It was a really learning experience." And then he replied, "Wow, I'm glad it was a learning experience for you."
Because I got more for you.
It was just a lot of things. I learned about myself. I had also more about time management, different tools to manage that. Actually, it's more like managerial stuff. That was what I learned a lot. And I'm sure nobody really talks about this. You know how Josh, you said, hey, it's just showing up is the biggest thing. But actually, once you show up and then now you actually start working on it, what people don't talk about is it's not really the creative process. It's a lot of managing process that you have to do, especially for Rob. And I'm sure Rob has stories about managing people. So
it's like herding cats.
Oh,
exactly.
I was gonna say marbles in a corner.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, because that's like the most brutal thing you could ever do. Where it's like herding cats, you can do it. It's not fun, but you can do it, right? Marbles in a corner, they don't care what you think. They go their own damn way. It's like, who thought this was?
I think that depends on who you're working with. Like, if you get the right people, it's more like herding cats. If you get the wrong person, it's more marbles.
Yes. Well, art, like honestly, like art by its very nature is honestly problem solving. It's just what problems are you solving, and storytelling is like not just in comics, but presentations, advertising. Like it's a big part of the whole process, right? This is art, but this is also a commercial product, on par with anything that's out in any comic shop. So there's always problems that come about. And I mean, every issue is its own challenges. If you have the right people, it's just a lot easier, right? You can just, you panic a little less. Like, you're not like, oh my God, are they going to fuck this up? No, you're not. Oh, no, you have different things. It's like, oh my gosh, I hope this comes out. I hope this is as good as I think it is. And I got to step up my game. I got to solve these problems now. But it's a much, when you trust the people you work with, it's so much different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now here's the fun, like we kind of mentioned, she mentioned hers. I'm going to wrap up with yours. It non-spoilerific. So you don't spoil anything because I don't want her to beat you. Right. Yeah. What was your favorite scene in Snowpaw 1 to write? If you can't spoil it, that's fine, right? You can be a read and find out part thing. But I think
all right, so my favorite, not necessarily just a scene, but like sequences of scenes, is her interaction with her father. That was my favorite, and I think you can see there's a lot of emotion on both sides. And like I had hinted at it a little bit ago about how they have an argument and then they have a kind of a making up scene. I think the father-daughter dynamic has been in this issue particularly has been a very fun thing to write. And it's not like it was something that I had intended on seeing like between me and my daughter. Obviously she's still very young and I'm not, but I'm imagining this is how it's going to go.
I hope not.
Well, not that. but like the argument's sake and then buddy situation. Like she's gonna I feel she's gonna be a daddy's girl, but she's still gonna she's gonna ruffle my feathers like my boys never did.
Oh.
Well, it's just something I've just noticed with most. But I don't have a daughter myself, but I've noticed with most guys with daughters, they kind of own you. They do. Like there's just
I think to an extent, but I mean again having two older boys and I try to keep it very similar. Like I try to have the same stern about so I try to keep that, but I think she's definitely my wife's kryptonite. It's the other way. Like she's very stern with my boys, but like when it comes to her, I'm like, really? Like you just let her. And the boy, it's like the two boys are like, if we would have done that, we would have been dead.
But see, that's not necessarily a girl thing. That's also like the youngest.
The youngest.
It's the youngest thing. I was the oldest. Okay, I know this. Okay, I didn't get away. When me and my sister were still like when our parents were still together, I didn't get away with half the shit she did. I was like, it was unfair. It was just like, because You're just like, you get to make all the mistakes, and like you get the oldest one just gets it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They just get it because the parents are learning with the oldest. Well, the youngest, the oldest did all this stuff already. It's not as big a deal to the parents. And the oldest is like, oh, come on. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm the youngest of three. I have two older sisters. So my middle sister and I, we watched our older sister basically get in all the shit. And she would always do everything, consequences be damned. So like she was always grounded, and we would be like, wow, really? Did you just not learn from this? We're like, so we're watching like how this goes. And then like my middle sister was like more of the angel who didn't do anything, I think probably from watching my older sister. And then there was me. I was like, I knew what I could get away with.
well, also I somehow feel this is just the impression I got just based on that story. You weren't the headache. Like you did your shit, but I somehow feel like you kind of knew where your role was. It's like, if I go this far, I'm on her radar. I don't want to get there. I'm just gonna go right here because she's such a problem. They're gonna ignore me.
Yeah,
right. They're gonna laugh at me.
I mean, it's funny too, like, because like I was in elementary school when my older sister was in high school. So like I think by the time I got to junior high and high school, I knew what not to do, and then where I could kind of skate under.
Yeah, no. Like it's just no. Yeah, but we got like there's just a universal thing on the Facebook chat. Yeah, the younger ones generally get away with more unless you're Kira. Kira is just unlucky. She's unlucky. But yeah, no. Like I remembered some stuff like because we weren't like my parents separated when we were very young, but I still remember there were things I did. Oh, I got it. It's the exact same thing, right? It's like nothing, nada, zit. It's like what the hell was that? Yeah. Right? Because again, I'm the one. All the mistakes are made, right? And that's just the way it goes. And I'm gonna go with Mel on this. Like wait till she's a teenager. I somehow get the feel. Yeah, I somehow get the.
Oh, I know.
I somehow get that.
My middle son was gonna be my problem child, but like no, I think she's gonna give me a heart attack. So if by the time she's a teenager and I haven't finished a full story arc, I'm gonna have to hand my scripts over to somebody to finish.
So here you go. It's like here you go. Listen, is this real? Was there enough of a shit in this story to get away with like that? That's what beta readers are for. Like that's what you can do, right? So. Okay, so we're gonna go one more time because your Kickstarter is going on live right now. If there's anything else you guys would like to promote, like how to contact you guys in any way, shape, or form, I get the feeling in Mog's case, don't bother her for commissions. She, Mel might come after you, but but besides that, and also Mog is the supervillain of the three of us. It's just the way it is.
What? Oh. How to find me?
I mean, just a little bit. Hey, we're friends. I'm going to make fun of you a little bit, and also I'm far enough away where you can't get at me. Yeah, that day will come, I'm sure. But
careful, they might put something in your food when you visit them.
It's okay as long as I don't wake up with anything strange in any places I didn't put it in. We're good.
Or anything missing while you're sitting in a bed.
Yeah, exactly. What have I done? I don't know. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. You guys have a Kickstarter. It's going on now. When does it go until, and where can people find it?
So you can go to short link is lonewolfcomics.com/snowpaw, and it's going till November 3rd. And so we have 20 days left on the clock. Go ahead and get those pledges. You can get some add-ons. And then also, if you see something that you didn't see as an add-on, we have a backer kit for the fulfillment survey. So you can do there. All the single issues will be available there as add-ons as well. So go to lonewolfcomics.com/snowpaw.
Yeah. So for everybody watching and listening and everything else, thank you guys for having a great stream. I'm going to be moving starting tomorrow. I'm going to be heading across the country, going to the next phase as it goes. So I will let you guys know what's going on next week for the stream, but it will be back. Support their Kickstarter. It's already taken my money. I'm sure it's taken some of you's. Currently at 277 backers. Congratulations, everybody, for doing a wonderful job. That's right. How out there. So Rob, Mog, thanks for coming on my show. And for everybody watching, listening, thanks for listening and watching. If you want to support this channel, hit the follow button on my Twitch, twitch.tv/justjoshingpodcast. You can support my sponsors. The links are in the episode description on my audio, which you can go to here. I'm going to type really fast because I'm a professional and I know what I'm doing and stuff like that. I'm a professional, everybody, a professional. And so you can support that there. My YouTube channel is Joshua Pentalaresco. Hit the like, subscribe. My book Alice 1 comes out December 1st. So if you want to support this channel, but also right now, definitely check out their Kickstarter. It ends in early November. Definitely do that. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you, Mog. Thank you, Rob. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.